when a child is born right towards the end of one day, at what point do we start counting the 8 days? And so the answer, simply speaking, is that the day of birth counts as day 1. The simple and kind of clear example, let's say at 10 a.m., a child is born on a Sunday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbat, Sunday. His circumcision will be on Sunday, the day that he is born. Again, in the normal circumstances, no sick, no nothing, everything's fine and good. The day that he is born, that same day of the week, but 1 week later, will be his circumcision. The day that he is born is counted as day 1. When, however, we have a child that is born in twilight, basically after sunset, but before nightfall, that's a kind of a gray area because there are different opinions in Jewish law as far as when one day finishes and when the next day begins. It's certainly not midnight. That's a secular consideration. That's not the Jewish legal consideration at all. Sunset is one opinion. Nightfall is another. We have actually on a weekly basis an encounter with this concept because we begin Shabbat at the latest on Friday at sunset, ideally a couple of minutes before, maybe 18 minutes before when a person lights candles, but absolutely bottom line, latest, red border is sunset, because that's the earlier of the two opinions, and this is a biblical requirement. Shabbat, it's a very big deal, and therefore we err on the side of caution, and we started on the earlier opinion. When do we finish Shabbat? We do not finish Shabbat on Saturday at sunset. We wait an extra 45 minutes or so until nightfall, because that's the other opinion, the later opinion of when one day ends and when the next one begins. And so if it's still Shabbat according to that opinion, better not take any chances. We'll err on the side of caution there as well. So if you want to consider it like a margin of error, we take the plus on the one side and the minus on the other side. And therefore we expand Shabbat to the extremes, the earlier opinion to begin Shabbat and the later opinion to end Shabbat. When it comes to circumcision, we still have to consider those two opinions. And so, because we cannot circumcise a day early, and it's certainly better to circumcise a day late than a day early, we consider a child born after sunset to be born on the next day. Even though technically he could be born before nightfall and maybe it's the previous day. So back to our example of being born on Sunday, except not at 10 a.m., but let's say around 7:30 nowadays, 7:30, let's say today, in 5 minutes at 7:30 on this Thursday evening, will be born a Jewish boy. He's technically no longer born on Thursday because it's after sunset, but it's before nightfall. So maybe he is born on a Thursday. We take it as the margin of error, and we err to the side of caution. We cannot circumcise on the 7th day, and so if we consider, Thursday, but maybe he's really born on Friday, that's the 7th day, rather we go to the next day, Friday, and so from Friday to Friday would be the 8th day, everything's fine. If it's really that he was technically born on Thursday, better that we err to the side on the side of caution and circumcise him on the 9th day than on the 7th day. Okay, so there is again the requirement, not just the permission, but the requirement to push off the circumcision until the child is healthy enough, really for sure, strong and healthy enough to handle the physical stress of the procedure. But in addition to that requirement, there's also a requirement that a person, a baby boy, or a child as he's growing up, or even an adult as he's a full adult, that he be circumcised. In fact, there are three components to the commandment. There is the act of circumcision, the state of being circumcised, and the state of being not uncircumcised. Three distinct components from the perspective of Jewish law on this commandment. The days, how many there are, is irrelevant. The days that baby was not yet circumcised, you can't get back. It's like tefillin. If I didn't put on tefillin today, there's nothing I can do about it tomorrow. I can put on tefillin tomorrow, but that covers tomorrow, not today. So how is it exactly that God should make a scenario where a child, certainly from not his fault, parents, not their fault either, that the child should go without circumcision and be in a state that is not what God really should be intending, seemingly, until the child is better. Maimonides explains this in a particularization of his wording, that in fact, when we do the circumcision, quote unquote, late, because of health reasons, and because, of course, Jewish law requires it that way, it's considered as if the child was circumcised from the 8th day and on, even though technically, physically, we had to wait X amount of days, and his circumcision occurred not on the 8th day, but after it. And the reason for this is that circumcision does not make for a new scenario. Circumcision reveals that which was already there. Specifically, that circumcision does not bring a person into connection with God. Rather, it reveals the connection with God that he had. That's why it's to be done on the 8th day in the ideal. Because the concept of the 8th day or the 8th of anything, the number 8, is related to transcendence and infinity. Our connection with God, in the context of circumcision, is one that we didn't achieve. If it were something that we achieved, it would be limited because we are limited. But rather, it's a connection that is inherent and is transcendent. Hence, on the 8th day, a number related to transcendence, is when that procedure is done in order to reveal that connection.